Yeah.
So that's getting sucked right in, right? Instead of it just, water off a duck's back and go, you're being an interrogator. I am not going to give oxygen to anything that you say, including your criticisms of me, which is where I'd like to be, right? You're just making shit up. You're feeding on this and I don't care because you're not really talking to me. So the interrogator can appear to just be interested. So, what did you do today? How was your day? What did you do work with? What did but the purpose of the interrogation, it can start off gently because and so you get sucked into thinking that this person is giving, caring about what you're doing or just showing interest. But the purpose behind it is to find the gotchas. So when I was in the book, I was talking about, the guy comes home from work and the wife says, "Hey, so you're a bit late. Did you stop by the bar?" Yeah, I stopped and had a drink with the boys. Did you just have one drink or did you have more drinks? Oh, no, I just had
Hmm.
one drink. Well, you seem a bit impaired. Are you sure you didn't have more than one drink? No, I just had one drink. Okay, because if you have, and then they launch, right? If you have more than one drink, rah, 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 and the purpose is to keep asking simple questions. Just they don't look like they're dangerous questions, but to worm the way into being able to launch and then
Yeah.
interrogate about the thing that just fires you
Yeah.
up.
There's somebody I've worked with that I didn't really know her that well, but it seemed every time we talked, she would like ask questions with this face on, like
Yeah.
the I'm just curious face, but then listen very intently to everything you said, and then if there was one thing that could have been misinterpreted, she would straw man it and give it the least charitable interpretation, and then go down that rabbit hole and be like, well, if this is what you meant, then this is bad for
Yeah, yeah,
these
yeah.
ABC reasons, and we've done that in the past, and we've worked with people who've done that in the past. It doesn't work, and it's like, well, actually, I didn't mean that at
That
all.
isn't. Yeah,
And
yeah. And there's
yeah,
two things that they can do. There's two different things they can do with it, right? So they can jump on you immediately and start what she's doing. The other thing that interrogators do is they collect up data. They go, num, 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 that's going to be so good later. And then they go off to other people and go, oh, and then he said this, and then he said this, and I found out this, and there's a different ways you can dine on this stuff,
yeah,
right? Either in person where you dominate the other person and scold them, tell them why they're wrong, or go off and be outraged with other people about it.
yeah, yeah. There's somebody else I'm thinking of too, where every time they ask me questions, my immediately I'm like, I feel like my back's against the
Yeah.
wall.
Yep.
And I'm like, what is this? Why, I don't, I've gotten better, I think, because I've interacted with this person a lot, but I didn't realize till after a lot of times where I'm like, why was that? And then a few weeks later, something that I said offhand is recycled. Something I said in passing that seemed like a nothing burger to them. They bring up and recycle in a different context. I'm like, what? How, you
What?
were
Hey, how did you?
paying
Yeah.
attention to that? I didn't even know that that was something information that you kept. And clearly, at the time, in hindsight, now that you're bringing it up, it's like, oh, you were fishing for information. You were not
Yes, you
asking.
were. That's right. You were
That
filing
was
it
not
away for.
curiosity. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
was data collection. Yeah, to your point.
Yeah. And that's one of those ones that I am particularly susceptible to. I'm so sensitive to it that I inadvertently feed interrogators by trying to word everything so that there's nothing they can catch me on.
Yeah.
So that's getting sucked right in, right? Instead of it just, water off a duck's back and go, you're being an interrogator. I am not going to give oxygen to anything that you say, including your criticisms of me, which is where I'd like to be, right? You're just making shit up. You're feeding on this and I don't care because you're not really talking to me. Instead of being there, I very quickly go to the place of what did I say? And I said it exactly right. And you still jumped on it and I said it exactly right. And if you look back, you'll see that's what I said. And I get all wrapped up in it real quick.
Yeah.
It's my one of my Achilles heels.
Yeah, I definitely did that in the workplace also, because in the workplace you kind of have to talk about things, especially if the person is your boss or something.
That just popped into mind something that happened this week. So we're doing this changeover. There's someone who I'm feeding information to. And at one point, she's looking for information on these accounts. And one account doesn't have a phone number and another account doesn't have an address. And she says to me in a tone like, how is it possible that you have these people set up and you don't have an address or a phone number for them? And honestly, because it's not my job, because it's someone else's job to have done that, and I didn't have any influence over that, I didn't care that she was interrogating like that. And so I just kind of stood there and didn't really say anything because I thought, well, I'm not going to tell her, yeah, I agree with you. And so, I'm not going to throw somebody else under the bus. It doesn't matter because we're moving away from this system anyway. So it doesn't need to be fixed. So I just stopped. And then that sort of, so she had no place to go. And then later she circled back and said, okay, I just want to say that for you and your team, that is not great form. That is not a good thing to have done or to not do. It's like that shouldn't happen. And again, I just kind of looked at it again and went, it's the same answer. There's nothing for me to say to you. I hear what you're saying. I'm not even going to agree with you because A, you should know I'm a CPA. I know this shit. B, I could explain to you that this is a local hometown business where we can look it up or call their neighbors. Like it's not, and C, it's probably just she didn't have time. So it's probably on the piece of paper in the file. She just didn't put it in the, like, I'm not explaining this to you.
Right.
You are trying to feed. You're trying to find something to go, see, this was wrong.
Yeah, and it
And
sounds like a reflex in that sense. Like it wasn't actually a question. It was kind of like a frustrated reflex, something.
on her part or my part? What do you mean?
Her part of
Oh,
her just
her part was a she wanted to make a point. She wanted to get a win. She wanted to feel the juice of pointing out a mistake.
even in like the personal side. If there's somebody like that, that's like if you're going to like a gathering or a family thing, or and there's somebody there that
Mhm.
always does that, and you can feel like, oh, that doesn't sound like a genuine question, then it's like kind of breeze past it and don't acknowledge it and don't give details and instead of I think that's probably a smarter way instead of just being like A, calling it out, or B,
There's no point in calling it out.
right, no point in calling it out, or B, providing any
Input.
detail, like yeah, or like
Yeah.
answering. I think the better camouflage move is to
But
just
see, what is it's not a camouflage move. If done properly, it's not a camouflage move. Again, the image is this person isn't trying to debate you on the topic. They've just found something, and it could be anything. They don't care. They found something to go, aha, nama, 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 and feed off your discomfort.
or they're looking for something instead of right instead of found something. The example I'm thinking about is
Or they're looking for something. But yeah, they're looking
yeah,
to, but the image is they're looking to feed, not they're looking to debate.
right.
The debating is only to feed. And so the antidote to that is feed nothing, give nothing, like, and not with a shield up, not with a guard, not as a strategy, although that's better than feeding, but just because you just look, because you understand that that's what they're doing. And it's like a small child throwing a temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Okay, I see you trying to feed and trying to interrogate me for information. I'm not playing.
Yeah. Yeah. When I say camouflage, I mean, instead of being like, hey, I know what you're doing. This doesn't feel like a collaborative conversation. So therefore, I'm not going to answer your question.
Right.
Instead of that, which is overt, it's like more covert where you're like, oh, yeah, things are going well. Thanks for asking. How you doing? Whatever, something like that. Instead, like if they're like a pointed question, yeah. So how's that thing at work going for you? If they're like specifically digging on that because
Yep.
this is somebody who, you know, has like, somebody who compares themselves to you all the time,
Yep.
right? So they'll like ask about your relationship because they want to know how it compares to
Yep.
theirs, or how's your job going because they want to. So yeah, oh yeah, my job's going good. Like thanks for asking. Like how things with you. That's like more covert. It's like, oh, acknowledge, not give any detail, and deflect and move on versus being like, no, sorry, I'm not answering that question because I don't trust you as a person. Like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I don't ever see the value unless this is someone that you're really close to and they go in and out of vampire. Then you might at some
Yeah.
point want to say, "Listen, when this happens, it feels like this to me." Maybe but not when they're in vampire. But for everybody else, there's calling it out. You can call it out if that feels good to you for your purposes, right? If you just need to, there's times when you just want to say, "Listen, here's
Yeah.
what's going on. You're being a bully. I'm having none of it. Stop now." And they won't stop, but at least you've said your piece. That's fine.
Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, no, it's and it doesn't, again, it doesn't matter what you say or don't do or whatever. What matters critically is what your energy is inside.
Yeah.
And if your energy is, oh, I see you, little girl or little boy, there you are dancing on a pin, and
Yeah.
I don't care. Then it doesn't matter what you say. That you're not feeding them.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that would be the exception is to actually call it out. And yeah, I prefer ideally in like when I'm most in a good place and when I'm spiritually strongest, yeah, just do one of those like, oh, I see what you're doing, like kind of get out of the way
Yeah.
and deflect and move on.
Yeah. Without judgment, without anything, just kind of like, not me. No mercy.
I would
I love that.
also,
No mercy.
yeah, without hard to do without judgment if it's the same person, but I would probably
Judgment is a hook, though. Judgment
just
is
get
a
out of the
hook.
conversation.
When you judge them, that they've got you hooked. They do. I promise you, that's part of it. There's a different energy. There's an energy that goes, I see what you're doing and I understand that you're in this place. That's different from you're a dick. You're a
Right, I
dick
see, yeah.
is judgment. That's what I mean by judgment.
Right. So yeah,
And
they
that
can
means I've got skin in the game. I'm feeling something about this,
right. They can
which
see
means they've
that
got
they've
me.
impacted you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's somebody that who I've told you about in the past who's trying to somebody I've worked with in the past that keeps trying to get a hold of me under
Suck you back
peculiar
in.
circumstances and I just can't see any way to go about it because yeah, I don't trust my patience for it. I don't trust my patience to interact with this person in person, on the phone. I even the
And
context of
also, why
which
would you want to?
right, exactly. I'm trying to think of a reason I would want to, and there is no reason that I would want to other than, yeah, there was no personal reason that I would want to that would benefit me. That person, the context in which they're trying to reconnect is manipulative in and of
Because
itself.
that's all they know, right? They
Right.
manipulate full time. This I think I know who you're talking about, and this person is full on
Master.
vampire full time, not even
Yeah.
aware that another world exists.
Yeah, that's accurate. And that's kind of the conclusion I've come to. It took me a long time, but I can't,
It
I can't
does.
do anything about it.
It does take a long time. That's the problem, and that's why when I get too involved in this stuff, I start to get animated because it feels so important, and it takes so long to really get down to brass tacks that people can do a lot of damage before we go, oh, we're here.
Hmm.
Oh, this guy is never available. It takes a long time, and that can be damaging time.
Yeah, and the thing that I always get tripped up on those things, which is why it took me so long, is because when I look at things objectively without any disregarding my intuition,
Yes,
I'm like, oh, well, actually didn't say anything
that's
badly,
right.
right? And like if
That's right.
I guess it's maybe a better framing for that is like if I were to explain to somebody else the situation and that person can't
Yeah,
feel how I was feeling in that moment or those moments, I always kind of look at it, oh, if I was an objective third party and you told me all these things this person said and did, is it that bad? And I'm like, no,
yeah,
maybe I guess
yeah,
it's not. And then I totally disregard my feeling in the moment. And then once I do factor that in, it's like, oh shit, I get it. They
yeah.
are, you know, they are stealing my energy. They are draining me. They are
Yes.
being
And
manipulative.
therefore they are not working with me. They were working against me. So they are not good for me.
Right. Yep.
And so it's almost and we have been trained. This is the westernized like we get tripped up by our own training. In Western society, we're supposed to give people the benefit of the doubt. We're supposed to be polite. We're supposed to, look for their side of the story. All of this stuff, all of which is great as long as you're in a collaborative environment. All good stuff. But
Yeah.
no one has taught us that there is also this alter world where all of that stuff is preyed upon, and that's the stuff that will get you in big trouble. I'm just going to do a little bit because it's been bugging me. Because that one fellow sent us an email saying, where is this content? Because in this world, in this day, we need this content back, this energy vampire content. You remember the guy that
Oh yeah,
kind
yeah,
of got
yeah,
us?
yeah.
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 He was referring to what's happening in the States.
Oh yeah.
And I get kind of seized up with anxiety going, wake the fuck up,
Yeah.
right? Your president is a full time
Oh, I see. I
vampire
see.
who
Yeah.
is destroying your fucking your country. And you need to stop feeding. You need to figure this out.
Yeah. I forget the full context of his email, but yeah, I remember his email. I forget the political side of it, but
Yeah, he was just the reason that he went looking for it again was because he remembered about it
oh,
when trying to have conversations about what's going on
oh, I see.
politically, and he couldn't find it to reference.
Right. He was looking for something, a piece of content to point other people who are getting so animated about it to
Yes,
be. I see.
to point those people to, and yeah,
Yeah. I like that concept of alternate world. I heard this acronym yesterday that again, it's hyperbole. It's not like I don't think it's gospel, but Gabos, you won't get anywhere based on sympathy, GABOS. And it's an extreme example, but like the alternate universe you just mentioned is right. Like that's where I get tripped up because and I will be better at this moving forward because I've seen it so many times now and I've done a lot of like thinking about it and like, I've become more aware of it. But the sooner you can figure out universe people are in,
yeah, yeah.
the easier it is. And like
Yes,
to your
yes.
point exactly, my rabbit hole is like being empathetic or sympathetic or being understanding and listening and all that stuff and like giving people the benefit of the doubt, etc. And I always thought that, oh yeah, that's a foolproof outlook,
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
keep
yeah.
doing that.
We were taught that. We were
But that's
raised that way, you and
it's
I
just not
both.
true. Just not
Yep.
true at all.
It's just not true. It's just it is the most dangerous thing. It is the reason things go badly and people suffer.
Yeah.
It's because we don't know the first question needs to be, where are you? Are you in collaboration or are you in competition? And if you're in competition, I will not feed you. I will not engage with you. You get nothing from me. And if you're
Yeah.
in collaboration, you will get my full effort to try and understand, to try and see your side, to work with you, all of that stuff. Because we're imperfect and it's really hard sometimes to connect, you've
Yeah.
got my full effort to connect. But first, I need to know you're in collaboration.
Yeah. Muttered that phrase to myself yesterday in passing, actually. Like basically about, I've been keeping in touch with people that are collaborative, like people that I really get
Right.
along with. And I've
Yep.
been making an effort to keep in touch with them, whether it's dinners or hikes or phone calls or whatever. Like there's been, we were talking before we got on interrogator stuff. It's like this, it seems like the stars are aligning in a lot of things that I wouldn't have thought based on
Mm-hmm.
interactions with those people and just talking
Mm-hmm.
to people that I like talking to and being fully present and giving them my attention and making myself available to them. And so I had one of those moments yesterday when I was catching up with an old, a friend, like he's kind of a virtual friend. I used to work with him, met him a few times in person, but we've been in touch since we worked together. Like we talk about
Right.
personal stuff and mental health and all that stuff, have
Yeah.
great conversations. And so I always go out of my way to make time for him and he does the same for me. And I had a great convo with him yesterday and like ended up turning into like a cool business opportunity, totally unexpected, like was not the
Nice.
plan at all.
Yeah.
And I got off that call being like, man, I feel like good things happen more often than not when you like, make time for people that you actually
Yes.
click with.
Yes. Yes.
And conversely, I've also, really distanced myself from like the toxic people very intentionally and like very head on. Like the people, one person in particular, as you're aware of, is they've been relentless about trying to reconnect with me
Oh yeah,
on the
you're a
phone.
big
And
source of energy that is gone.
right. And I've, like literally 5 times in the last month been like, no, I will
Yeah.
not get on the phone with you. I don't have time for it. I'm not
Yeah.
speaking to you. And like that explicit. And I said, if
Yeah.
there's anything you want to tell me, like let me know, send me a voice note, send whatever, hit me on whatever. But like I am not getting on the phone with you. And I almost cracked, but I didn't. And I feel I feel much better that I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you've still got your own, like we all have our own internal neediness or insecurity or imperfection where it feels, I know for myself, it feels like, but I want to feel secure or I want to know what they have to say or maybe I'm wrong about this or what does
That's
it
how I
hurt to
almost
just,
cracked. Exactly.
yeah. And so you start to eat, it weighs down, but that is part of the energy being sent your way
Yes.
to try and hook you back in. They kick when you stop feeding a vampire, they kick into high gear. Unless I mean, if you're secondary to them, like if it's at work and there's 10 people that this guy feeds off of, and you're just one of them and you're not particularly significant, they will just stop feeding off you. And your coworkers will be going, "Why don't they do that to you?" And you'll be like, "I don't feed them." But if you are one of the key players, like you are with this fellow, one of the really juicy ones, because you have assets he would like, then they will kick into high gear. Family will do that too, right? They will double their efforts, triple their effort. They get very dramatic to try and drag you back in
Hmm.
whatever way they can because they really don't want to lose you.